Dominaria is the heart of Magic. During the early days of the game, over 25 expansions took place on this massive plane. Then, after Future Sight in 2007, it vanished, never to be seen again, except in core sets, until it reappeared in 2018 in the aptly named set, Dominaria. Dominaria was a top-down design, trying to recapture the flavor of early Magic in a set with modern design sensibilities. But how well did it succeed? Today I will be grading the set on 4 metrics. Flavor. What stories do the cards tell? How is the art and flavor text? And how well does the set capture the source material? Mechanics. Flavor is great and all, but it means nothing if the gameplay is terrible. How good or exciting are the set's feature mechanics? How well does the set innovate new ideas that have never been done before? Limited environment. Is the format fun? Can you do well in any supported color combination? And are there more than just 10 decks to build? Constructed impact. Do the cards make a healthy impact on Standard, Modern, Legacy, Commander? Each of these factors will be graded on a 1 to 5 scale. Note that while I'm trying to be fair and impartial, some of these categories are subjective, and I know that I'll make some judgment calls that you may disagree with. That's perfectly fine. Feel free to let me know in the comments where you disagree. As I said before, Dominaria is meant to evoke nostalgia, embodying the best and most iconic parts of Dominarian lore. And it starts off strong, with 8 legendary creatures from Magic's past receiving new cards, as well as 52 other legendary cards, most of which are directly related to another character or event from Magic history. Furthermore, the set has a whopping 29 reprints, originally from 15 different sets. And sure, a couple of these are duds, but it just doesn't get more iconic than Llanowar Elves and Sarah Angel. The only way this could be better is if they had reprinted Lightning Bolt and Counterspell. Oh wait, they did. They created a new card type specifically to summarize the stories of previous sets and blocks. Furthermore, each of these cards features art depicting an in-world art representation of the events the card pertains to. This gave us access to new art styles that Magic doesn't do. You want more? Jace barely appeared in this story. Yargle. Had enough? R&D hid the names of every single Magic expansion that took place on Dominaria in the names and flavor texts of the cards in this set. Are you kidding me? That's incredible. I didn't even start playing till Rise of the Eldrazi, and I'm overwhelmed by the nostalgia here. If you need more evidence that this set gets a 5 on flavor, just look at the background art pieces in this video. Dominaria has 4 major mechanical themes. I already mentioned sagas, which were very innovative and so successful that they went on to be used only 2 years later in Theros Beyond Death, and again 1 year later in Kaldheim. But they didn't stop there. They created another new kind of card in legendary sorceries, which are incredibly powerful spells that you can't cast unless you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. These spells were less successful than sagas because they were hard to cast, and 2 of the 6 required an extremely high percentage of legends to even be worth playing. I like these, but I can admit they weren't amazing. The design team for this set wanted to make effects that cared about legendary creatures. However, R&D learned during Kamigawa block that it's hard to care about something that doesn't appear at common. So for Dominaria, they instead made effects that care about historic cards, which are defined as legendary cards, sagas, and artifacts. To boost the efficacy of these effects, Dominaria included an abnormally high number of artifacts at all rarities. Again, I like historic, but it's kind of forgettable. I think it did good work in this set, but wasn't as exciting as other mechanics. Lastly, Dominaria brought back fan-favorite Kicker, which is as simple as putting extra mana into a spell for a bigger effect. Kicker is not a particularly innovative choice, but it doesn't need to be. People love it, and it has so much design space that it's not hard to come up with solid cards. And they did create a legend that rewards you for kicking spells, so that was a nice way to develop the mechanic a little. Overall, Dominaria's mechanics get a 4. They were innovative and worked well for the set, but they weren't all slam dunks. People love Dominaria Limited. When I asked my brother Jason what he would rate it, he said 100,000 out of 5. I'm going to be honest, I wanted to enjoy Dominaria Limited, but every single draft I either just couldn't find a good deck or got mana screwed. And the time I got fed up and went just 2 color, no splashes so that I couldn't possibly get mana screwed, I did. And then lost to a 5-color Joda deck that drew all 5 basic lands by turn 5. I didn't have great experiences. But I'll admit that maybe I just don't understand the format, because when I look back, there are so many things you can do. In addition to the 10 color pair archetypes, there were build-arounds for elves, goblins, First Strike Tribal, Reanimator, supposedly angels, Artifact Sacrifice, Lich's Mastery plus Healing Grace, Gaia's Protector plus Warlord's Fury, Arcane Flight plus Coldwater Snapper, In Bolas's Clutches plus literally anything, Rat Colony plus 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 Rat Colony. There are just so many ways to make even bad commons useful. The fact that there are so many legends that want to do their own thing is a feature, because it allows you to build very different decks each time you play. So, despite my own experiences, I have to agree that this gets a 5, and I'm just bad. The last area is also the hardest for me to judge, as I don't really follow competitive Magic, but I did some online research that will hopefully prove to be accurate. For Standard, I looked at top 8 deck lists from the Pro Tours, Mythic Championships, Players Tours, in which the set was legal. At Pro Tour Dominaria, there were 2 copies of Teferi and 28 copies of Goblin Chainwhirler in top 8 main decks. That's it. And while the meta evolved with time, bringing new cards into the mix, very few of these cards seemed to be the cornerstone of their deck. People didn't build kicker decks, or historic decks, or legendary decks. The main exceptions were Banalish Marshal and Tempest Djinn, who both spawned popular monocolored decks. So Dominaria gets a 3 for Standard impact. Present, but not exciting. Older formats like Legacy and Modern are so large now that they're difficult to impact. So while it's no surprise that Dominaria didn't have much effect, it still failed pretty hard here. Its only real successes are the same for both formats. Damping Sphere, which was clearly designed specifically to fight things like Tron and Storm, Trickster for Merfolk decks, Chainwhirler, and maybe Karn, maybe Teferi? I guess we'll give this a 2 because Damping Sphere is such a high sideboard pick. The same cards fared even worse in Vintage, so while there is a slight presence there, I'm going to give this a 1. Where Dominaria excels, however, is Commander. This should surprise no one. After all, it introduced 44 new potential commanders, one of whom was the most popular on EDHREC in 2019. Tetiova, Shalai, and Joyra have all seen success both as Commander and in the 99. Other popular cards include Teferi, Cabal Stronghold, Primeval's Glorious Rebirth, The Eldest Reborn, and on and on and on. Dominaria impacted Commander in the best way any set could, by providing a host of fun new options, but without making any so powerful they broke the format. For that reason, it gets a 5 here. Taking these values together, Dominaria gets a 3 for constructed impact. It didn't have much effect on older formats, which is normal and expected, but its lack of success in Standard really drags down its Commander results. And the final totals are in. Averaging these scores, Dominaria finishes at an overall 4.25. On the whole, I really love this set. I tried not to let that bias my grading. Are you kidding me? That's incredible. I think it did a great job of distilling the flavor of the plane and building an awesome limited environment that I hope one day to experience. If there's one thing you take from this set design when creating your own Magic sets, remember to include more build-arounds and hidden ways to use cards that will keep people coming back to draft again and again. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you thought about Dominaria. We'll be back next Thursday.